Nuclear explosions are caused by weapons such as H-bombs or atom bombs. They are like ordinary explosions, only many times more powerful. They cause great heat and blast. They also make a cloud of deadly dust, which falls slowly to the ground. This is what is called fallout. So these are the two dangers. First, heat and blast, which is followed by fallout. The heat and blast is so severe that it can kill and can destroy buildings for up to 5 miles from the explosion. Fallout is dust that is sucked up from the ground by the explosion. It can be deadly dangerous. It rises high in the air and can be carried by winds for hundreds of miles before falling to the ground. You can protect yourself and your family, and later on we will show you what steps to take. If we are attacked by nuclear weapons, these are the warning sounds you must recognize. First, the attack warning. If an attack is expected, the sirens will sound a rising and falling note like this. Next, the fallout warning. When fallout is expected, you will hear 3 bangs in short succession. They will be sounded by means of maroons like this. Or you may hear 3 gongs like this. Or 3 whistles like this. These all mean that fallout is expected. Warnings of the attack and of fallout will also be broadcast. When the immediate danger of air attack or fallout has passed, the siren will sound a steady note like this. Here are the warning sounds again. Attack. Fallout. Here is a reminder of what the air attack warning sounds like. This is the sound. When you hear the attack warning, you and your family must take cover at once. Do not stay out of doors. If you are caught in the open, lie down. And now here is a reminder about fallout warnings. When fallout is expected, you will hear 3 bangs in short succession, like this. In some areas, the warning may be given by means of 3 gongs, like this. Or you may hear 3 whistles, like this. All these 3 types of sounds indicate that fallout is expected. When you hear them, you must stay in the safest position in the house. Keep the doors shut. Do not go outside the house until you are told it is safe. Here is the all clear warning. When you hear this sound, you can leave your cover. But keep listening for further warnings. The most widespread danger from nuclear explosions is fallout. Fallout is dust that is sucked up from the ground by the explosion. Fallout can kill. Since it can be carried for great distances by the winds, it can eventually settle anywhere. So no place in the United Kingdom is safer than any other. The risk is as great in the countryside as in the towns. Nobody can tell where the safest place will be. So you are just as safe in your own home area as anywhere else. In fact, you are far better off at home because it is the place you know and where you are known. So, stay where you are. If you leave your home, your local authority may take it over for homeless families. And if you move, the authorities in the new place will not help you with food, accommodation, or other essentials. You are better off in your own home. Stay there. You must now choose a room in your home which will give the best protection from fallout. If you live in a house, the safest place is the ground floor or basement. Choose a room with the smallest amount of outside wall. The farther you are from outside walls and the roof, the better the protection. If you live in a block of flats, which is more than 5 floors high, it is important not to use the top 2 floors. The safest places are inside passages away from outside walls and windows. If the block is 4 floors or less, the best place for a fallout room is the basement or ground floor. If you live too high up to be safe, you must make arrangements now with your neighbors in the lower floors, or make some suitable arrangement.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, the 7th of August, and thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Surviving the Apocalypse live stream. Very, very similar to last week. We're just going to chat about bunkers, Geiger counters. Any questions any of you have, please free to stick them in the comments. I will try to answer all of them. So kicking off tonight, what I wanted to talk about was something that I'd alluded to last week about the sort of stockpile of equipment that was in the regional government headquarters bunker in Ballymena. Now, I couldn't find the photographs, just couldn't lay my hands on the photographs last week, but I have managed to find them. So I'll stick myself down into the corner and I will pop these photographs up. Right, so this is one of the rooms in the regional government headquarters, and you can probably see that there is a heck of a lot of equipment here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and if memory serves, 5 of the plastic warning speakers, of the warning broadcast speakers. There's the speech receivers that these would connect to, and I think there's 5 to match. The one that's in here is it's brand new, in a sealed box, and there's a teletalk out of a Royal Observer Corps post, and I'm pretty sure there was another one in this box too. There's a WB400. There is an old contamination meter. I think that one had a contamination meter in it too, that bag. Those are radio training kits, and there's 2 of those. Then we have some dosimeter chargers. I think there's about 3 or 4 boxes of dosimeter chargers. And then there was about 10 boxes full of dosimeters. Never opened, all I think dated 1982. And then you can see there we have 2 carrier control points. And I have another photograph here. If I get rid of that one, this one's slightly farther out. And that's that box I was talking to you about there. So yeah, there's definitely another teletalk, and there's a brand new plastic speaker right there. Good evening, Rowan. And in fact, Rowan, I'm going to make you, because you were with me last week, let me see how I do that. Seemingly last week I was able to make you, I was able to click on it and make you a moderator for the thing, just in case you noticed last week we got a bit of sort of spamming in the chat, and I'll see. I'm sure there's a way of doing it. I'm not 100% sure, but I will work out a way of doing it. But I will get to that. So you can see, yeah. Well, it's not so much the OI gang. It's not so much that they need all this stuff in here. This is where all the redundant equipment was brought to. So when the Cold War ended, they took everything they didn't need and they stored it here, because it just made the logical sense that this was the government nuclear bunker. So let's just store all the equipment in here. And then when I got in, all of this stuff was still sitting here. So there's this, and I sort of completely ignored this unit until right at the very end, and then we realized that it was this. So it's actually a training unit. So it's a big carrier control point training unit. This is in my garage, and this is the whole unit. So over this side, this is all the siren point, and then we have the sort of the speech receiver, the warning point, and then we have the carrier control point. So that's a unit you've seen me making quite a few videos on, the unit that I have working again. So this is another one. So you just wouldn't believe the amount of stuff that they have stored in there still. I got a lot of it. A lot of it is at the Ulster Aviation Society. We have it on display there, but a heck of a lot of it is still inside. So it is. Right, we'll go back to the main camera. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about was there's been quite a lot of break-ins recently into, as well as bunkers, into ROC posts. So there's been 2 that I know of in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. One was Knockholt, that's the most recent one. That post has been restored, I think, from the sort of late 90s, mid to late 90s. owner had everything in it, and I first heard about being broken into a couple of years ago, and I think the owner had secured it again. And in the last sort of week or two, photographs have been popping up on sort of urbex sites, social media, of the inside of the post again. So the owner has been notified that the post has been broken into, but he doesn't visit the post very much, which is the issue. And unfortunately, he does keep things in the post. So, yeah, the OY gang isn't that from before. Yes, the unit I just showed you, that is the 4-minute warning. That all that equipment is 4-minute warning equipment. I do have photographs of. I did have photographs. Let me see, where are they? I will get them here for you. There they are there. I'll bring them over here. And I'll go back to that screen again. So here that's Knockholt there. And the guy has, as I said, he's had this for a really, really, really long time. And Post Royal is reasonably well secure, but he doesn't really open it up to the public very much. And it's in a sort of sleepy sort of country lane lay-by. So unfortunately, I don't think security would be that good. And then that's the insides. So there's the insides, and he's, it was a really nice, tidy post. So hopefully they haven't vandalized it. Now the other post that I was talking about, unfortunately, I'm not going to give the name of it, but the guy has been restoring it for I think a couple of years now, and unfortunately people broke into it and basically totally destroyed it. And they just thrown tins of paint about, smashed all the furniture. Just destroyed the place. So I think that's the toilet there, the chemical toilet. That's the battery box. Obviously the bed has been, I've decided to break the bed. There's the cupboard. Yeah, it's just, I don't understand why people do things like that. Really, I can't understand why somebody would want to break in and then just completely destroy the place inside. It just doesn't make any sense to me. No, very, very strange why people would do that. But that's the sort of news-wise, bunker-wise. I was up once since the last live stream last Monday night, and the solar system is also working well. The video for that solar system, I'm going to put that out at the end of the week. And that's, I think it's about a 15-16 minute long epic of me installing the new solar system at the museum, but it's all working, and all the camera system and everything's being charged, and it's working well, and the Geiger counter and the modem are all being charged, and they're all sending data when they should send data. So it's great that it is all working perfectly. So something obviously last week I said about that I hadn't really been buying many Geiger counters. Now that has sort of changed. I bought one tonight from a Facebook page, another sort of Soviet era Ukrainian meter that sort of came about from Chernobyl. Now the one thing is I have quite a few of them. As you can see from all the videos I've done over the years, I have quite a few of them. One thing that started to happen to them is the LCDs have started to rot. So you can see the Bella there. Now they do work, they do still work, but the LCDs have really started to rot. You can see there the little dot on it, and then at the top of the screen there to the right hand side, it started to go, and that one has started to go too. Unfortunately, that one's really bad. Again, does still work, but the LCD is not long for this world, unfortunately. So somebody had asked in one of my videos, I think about 6-7 months ago, would one of these be good for day-to-day use? Buy it as your only Geiger counter. My answer at the time was yes, but just be aware that the age of them, and they're not going to last forever. You're almost better off getting as much money as you possibly can and buying a really, really good meter, and then that's your only meter, and just have that. These are more of a collector's item. I think if you're going to buy these, you're buying them to display. Don't be buying them to, you're not going to be using that to save your life. At a pinch, yes, it will work, but it's not something that I would recommend. Definitely not. But for just the actual aesthetics of it, and the fact that it's an original sort of Cold War era, just after Chernobyl, everyone's panicking about radiation. They're a perfect meter. They're a perfect little meter. I think they're great, and they look nice, and they make nice noises, and but they're gonna, at some point, they're gonna go and they're gonna break, and unfortunately, I think you can get spare LCDs for them, but again, they're gonna be 30-year-old LCDs, so whether or not they last any particular length of time, I don't know. But I might look at doing one of them. The fact being that it works, it does still work. If it was completely broken and the LCD was black, I would probably go out and buy a new LCD and fit it. But at the moment, I don't think I'm going to. Now, that's strange because my Pripyat, the LCD is perfect on it. Absolutely perfect. And it's, don't know. Wait for the autofocus to come in. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why that one's perfect and these other two, because they both stay in the same place. My shed that they're all kept in, it's all heated, and there's a dehumidifier, and it's not as if it's damp or anything like that there. So don't know, but yes, I think at some point I will change the LCD on it. Right, okay, so we'll show you another bunker then that I've been inside. So this is going back, this is obviously again pre-COVID. So I believe it was around about 2017, 2018, I got into this bunker. So this bunker is in Lisburn, in an army barracks, in Thiepval Army Barracks in Lisburn, Northern Ireland. And this was originally an anti-aircraft operations room, and then it became the 31 Group Royal Observer Corps headquarters. So they moved there. They were originally in Belfast, a place called Orangefield in Belfast, in an old World War II civil defence building, and then they moved then in the sort of mid to late 50s. They moved then over to Lisburn into this, which was at the time an incredibly modern ROC headquarters, one of the most modern ones at the time. So I will put over my phone again to show you the 3D map, because I think the 3D maps from Apple are just fantastic. So that's an aerial view of Thiepval Barracks in Lisburn. So we zoom in, and so they've built a lot of new buildings over here. This is all new buildings here. All this area here is all new buildings, and then the bunker is there, right where my cursor is. That's it there. So low squat building. I'll do a little 360. Round the back there used to be a tall sort of radio antenna mast that's about here, big lattice antenna mast, but they took that down. You can hopefully see all the air conditioning. Let me see, there's some air conditioning units there. There's another two here, and if memory serves, there's another couple. Yeah, there's another couple there just at the back. And then that is power in there, transformers in there. But this was the Royal Observer Corps headquarters right up until stand down in 1991. And just here, there was a couple of portable buildings. And that was sort of their day-to-day offices, where they would just carry out their day-to-day business, the full-time officers. And then the bunker was only really used during training exercises and, just if they needed to do something inside. So just here is where they would have refilled the fuel tanks. So the reason you couldn't park on that is because there was fuel tanks underneath. So I will get rid of that, and I'll bring up my photographs. Okay, so that's that. Obviously, that area there is the bit you saw in the aerial photograph. There's the main entrance. Now, originally anti-aircraft operation rooms, the entrance would have been here, right there, and then there would have been another entrance at the other side. So what they've done is they've blast protected it here. This has all been built on when the building was repurposed, and then you enter in through this door here. So that is into the generator. So that's all the air intake and everything for the generator going down below ground. The generator is downstairs. That's a little, just a back from the main entrance, and that's air filtration over there. So that's the main entrance. So there is an outer door. This is the original. So that's the original door. That's interesting. I'm drinking a green tin and it's all gone see-through with the green screen. Forgot about that. So that's the original, the aircraft operations room door, and then this is a big safe door on the inside. Now this has replaced. There was proper big thick Swiss style concrete and steel blast doors on this, but they actually removed them once the Royal Observer Corps moved out. They actually took those out, which would have been quite a substantial job to do, and but they've left the safe door on. So there's the door. So you can see it's a very typical Royal Observer Corps style, an anti-aircraft operation room style door. So this is inside. So the photographs won't necessarily be in order, but we will work through that. So this is the crane, just so you can lower supplies downstairs. Just telling you what weight the crane will take. So this is looking. So this is the blast lock area, and this is looking from the blast lock then into the bunker. So down to your left, over here, that goes downstairs, and then to your right here is just some cupboards and a sort of just a little reception area where you would sign in, and then straight on ahead would have brought you straight into the bunker then. So that's looking back outside. Now these two double doors, originally that would have been a blast door, and you can see they've modified it so they can bring bits and pieces in, files, paperwork, and mostly it's used for storage now. Unfortunately, it isn't really used for anything else now. It was used during the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan. It was used for radio transmitters, hence why it had all the air conditioning plant installed. So that's its name now, Building 73. That's the stairs that I showed you to the left-hand side. That's going downstairs then. So the building is built one level above ground and then one level below ground. So this is the bottom of the stairs then looking down the spine corridor of the bunker. So on the left-hand side here is the canteen. That's looking back up that corridor. So we're now got to the, would ROCHQs have armed guards like rotor bunkers and such? No. Royal Observer Corps, other than during the Second World War, Royal Observer Corps were never armed. Being inside an army base did help, because there was lots of armed soldiers running about, but things like the rotor bunkers being armed, funnily enough, I've never actually seen that 100% confirmed. More than likely you would have had an amount of soldiers would have come out and, you know, patrolled and things like that there. But I've seen reports that the soldiers weren't even allowed in the bunker. They had to live in the corridor and things, and I don't know how much that is true. You know, that's coming from Anstruther and places like that there, and Scotland's secret bunker. You know, where's the other one? Kelton Hatch. Sort of say that. I don't know how much that's true, if at all true. But the Royal Observer Corps were never routinely armed, other than having rifles and a small amount of ammunition during the Second World War. During the Cold War, they were never given any weapons. So this is the back door. So there's a set of blast doors here, and then this is another set of blast doors. So those blast doors would have been closed to create an airlock. And then if you were outside or you're inside and you need to go outside to do something, obviously to come back inside and decontaminate yourself, you would come in, close these doors, and then open one of these doors, and that would bring you through a decontamination shower on the inside. And that's the back door from outside looking in, and that big lattice mast I was talking about, that was just over here, just in this undergrowth is where it was. And there's the original key, it was hanging in the lock still, and it worked perfectly. And that's the door closed up again. took quite a lot of photographs of the door. Yeah, so this is interesting to find. This was the only thing inside, I think, second thing inside the bunker that referred to its original use. So you can see there, United Kingdom Warning and Monitoring Organisation, and this is the brand new identity card. So it was on the back door, basically because if somebody came along and they had the old style identity card, they wouldn't be let in. The guys at York Group HQ said there was not. No, definitely not. No, that is one thing about York that they've got totally wrong. There was never an armed guard at Royal Observer Corps headquarters. That was just, it just wouldn't happen. There was not enough soldiers and police and fire brigade to go around during a nuclear war to say, we need you guys to go and stand outside that nuclear bunker and stop people from breaking in. It just wouldn't have happened. 100% would not have happened. I have all the training material. I've all the original files. Unfortunately, York do make things up because they've been told it by people who are making it up, and then they take it on board as being the truth, and then they put it forward. A friend of mine went on one of their tours, and the generator inside the bunker, they weren't told. The generator inside the bunker is to run the bunker. It creates 240 volt electricity and it runs the bunker. They were told the generator was to charge batteries, and that the batteries ran the bunker, and that was fact to them in York, that's exactly how it went. Just there's so many little issues with places like that the tour guides, it's their job to do it. It's not like, that's why I'm blowing the smoke up my arse here, is the fact being that I have an interest in it, so I've done all the research and things like that there. They get paid to come out and be a tour guide, so they just do a tour guide. So they have been told things by other people and they've just taken it as fact. There was never any armed guards, and there was never supposed to be, unfortunately. They're a break into a bunker West operation. What would be the response to that? Obviously Audrey and such. No group control was ever broken into. Interestingly enough, there was plenty of monitoring posts broken into. There was quite a few broken into over here in Northern Ireland. Unfortunately, they burnt out a couple of them. They stole material out of them, air raid sirens, things like that out of them. But they never ever broke into a group control. It wasn't until after stand down that people sort of got into group headquarters. Just sometimes they were just left open, which is a bit strange. They just decided to leave them open. I don't know why, but no, there was never anybody that I don't even know. There was nothing in it about security. I have a document which sort of underlines what to do in the case of transition to war, when all the observers would come to the headquarters, and then you would have other observers coming to receive sort of their ration stocks and their batteries and things like that there. But there was never anything talked about what happens if somebody tries to break in while we are operational. And in fact, even on any videos I've ever watched, it's even things like threads. It's never shown that anybody's ever tried to break into the bunkers, which is quite strange, because it would definitely happen. If people knew there was a bunker there, they would more than likely try to get into it. It's one of the things that I didn't show about Ballymena last week. There's a big metal railing runs all along it on the outside of it, and that's to stop cars crashing into it, to sort of ram themselves into the bunker. I don't know how that would work. I was told it was for car bombs, but I don't know how true that is. But it's a big massive metal barrier about waist height that runs right around the bunker, so you can't ram into it. So there's the identity card with effect from 1990 is when that card came into effect. So they only had a couple of months left, unfortunately, before stand down. So that's the back door again. So this is in decontamination. As you can see, they've been storing Christmas decorations in it. But this is the this is where you put your dirty clothes. So the showers are up on the wall. You'd come in, open these up, you would put your dirty clothes in there, and you would get changed. That's looking inside the trapdoor. And that's through the door. So this door here would be closed. and that door will be closed, and then you see the other door in behind it, that is the door out then back into the corridor. So there's another blast door between those two. So we come in through, change your clothes, go from this room into this room, wash, put on new clothes, and then through that door there. And there's the shower. That's the water pipe for the shower, and the shower is just hidden in there around the back. But I have the original mirror out of this room. The mirror was sort of propped up against the wall, so they let me take the mirror from the decontamination room, which was quite cool. I have that up in my shed. That's just a wider shot of it. And there's the shower curtain, where the shower curtain used to be, and then the shower came up the wall, obviously, above you. So then this is upstairs, just back from the decontamination room, then looking down the stairs. And that's the old post office telecommunications room. So this is where they would have done all the telecommunications equipment would have been in here. And that room's complete. That room is locked, isn't it? I think that room is actually locked. I think they do still use that room. This door says store. I don't think the photograph does it justice, but it does say store. And then there's some old computer equipment in here, just in this little side room. This, I think, was a dormitory from looking at the original plans. This was originally a dorm. How does Santa get into the chimney? Yes. So you can see, again, it's a really difficult building. Bunkers in general are very, very difficult to photograph because it's all little narrow corridors, all dimly lit. It's one of the original Kotaks. I take photographs of everything because it's, if the building's ever lost, that's it gone forever. And things like this here, that's original from when the bunker was in operation, and you can see all the power and communications cabling coming through the wall there. Down the FSM tube. Santa would need to be on a queer diet to get down the FSM tube, I tell you. That's that staircase again, looking down. So this board, I actually do have a period photograph, which I'll put up here in a few minutes. And it's from this exact angle, and you can see the crew notice board up here, and I'll put that photograph up in a little minute. Some period photographs. So this would have been where the sort of the generator control would have been in here. So this is all your air conditioning. So there is some fuel. I think that's a very old bottle of lemonade. It is indeed a very old bottle of lemonade. There's your compressors. They're all original. There's the air conditioning plant. Now, the one thing that really annoyed me, on this wall, you can just see the frame. It says Lisburn Royal Observer Corps Civil Defence Headquarters, and it's a map of where all the air vents go in the entire building. And I asked them if I could take it, and they sort of ummed and ahed about it, and it didn't look as if they really had a problem, and I never took it. I forgot to do it. And I've tried to get it since, and I haven't got any replies to any of my emails. So yeah, that is one that slips me by, and I'll never make that mistake again, because that would have been really, really cool to have. And I never even took a photograph of it either, which is even more annoying. So that's just the warning labels outside the air conditioning plant. This is the water tank. Big, huge, big water tank. And you can see there, it's very nearly empty. So somebody needs to fill it up. But yeah, pretty big water tank. This is, again, this is the air conditioning. This is the evaporator for the air conditioning. More compressors. And that's your security state. So if you've ever seen the security state, sort of black, red, amber, whatever, that goes in there. Oh, that is the last of my photographs. So we'll look at the period photographs. So we'll go back here, and I will get the period photographs because they are pretty cool. Just have to remember where I put them. But yeah, the that is a pretty cool bunker as bunkers goes. It's very, very, very impressive. I think it's under archive slides, isn't it? Yes, here we go. Okay, is it these ones or is it these ones? Yes, here we go. Now, why have they gone like, oh, I know. Right, so there's the training room. What was the normal security state? I think it was pretty much high all the time, Dean. I think it was pretty much high all the time. Obviously, with the troubles, our security state, even now, I think is it moderate? No, it is high. After the shooting we had of the police officer, it has been quite high, the threat level. So it would have been pretty much red or heightened. I think is usually the one they use, heightened. I think we're on heightened at the moment. So there's the group training room. We were very lucky at Thiepval that in the bunker we actually had our own training room, so training didn't have to be done outside, it could all be done inside. So that's that board I was talking about. So there's the two doors, and then there's the crew door. I remember walking up the stairs and just sort of seeing this in front of me and going, I'm pretty sure I have a photograph of this exact spot. So it was nice to be able to see what it looked like then and obviously what it looks like now. And I wish I had that board. That board probably went into a skip, unfortunately. Like most things, I think most things out of the bunker were just thrown into a skip, which is just such a shame. But there's the crew availability board. So everybody that was working, black special, amber, nothing there. What area were you in, Dean? Oh, have you mentioned that somewhere before? Coventry, you were Coventry, right? Okay. Coventry was a nice one. Was that the one after Winchester, if I remember? Winchester closed. The sort of the actual group area closed. Oh no, it wasn't Winchester. It was somewhere else. Was it Coventry that closed and you all moved to Winchester or something like that? There, I think Coventry HQ was in a. It's now run by the fire brigade. Might have that completely wrong, but I seem to remember around that part of the world was either the fire brigade. Don't know. I could have that wrong. So there's the training. So it's Intex 91, Saturday the 20th of April. So this is actually the very, very, very last Intex. So that's international exercise. International exercise. Oh, Durham. Okay, yep. I have a friend, Jack, who's over in County Durham, who owns Pool Surplus Stores. You might know that name, being from Durham. But he has Castleton, ROC Post. He has that. And I always call it Chopgate, but apparently it's Chopyat. If you're from that part of the world, you pronounce it Chopyat. He had that post as well. But yeah, this is the very, very last international exercise that took place. And it's basically telling everybody sort of there's what they would have been doing. But yeah, they're very, very lucky to have a sort of big training area and crew room. There they all are. Sitting in the crew room. And I love these old photographs because it just shows you that these places were used rather than just being empty shells. They were actually buildings that were used, and it just adds a bit of life to them. So this is into the teleprinter room. So you can see all the teleprinters in here, and they've got computers. So they were moving away from these and they were moving into computers. The very, very early days of computers in 1990, 1991. That's it. Yes, Coventry is the one they have. It's a satellite communications company. Yes, I remember. There's quite a good documentary called Toxin Bang, if I remember it rightly, and in that they show the sort of they don't show the whole process of how they did it, but they did give you a walkthrough of it. But yes, you're right. It's owned by a satellite communications company now. I think you had a Gate Guardian, didn't you? Did you have a Hunter? Coventry had a Hunter Gate Guardian, which was, I think, one of the only Royal Observer Corps headquarters to have a Gate Guardian. I'm pretty sure that you did have that. I've seen video of it back in the day. I think it's maybe at stand down, you're all doing a parade outside it and you all walk past this Hunter. And there is a very, very old computer. That's the age. It's so funny that was just the height. That was just the height of, computing in those days. That's brilliant. Just look at that monitor. Absolutely incredible. Probably 2 colors. Green and slightly darker green. And then we have the old, I think that's PYE, telephone over here. I have one of those. I have the one from Western Area Headquarters in Goosenara in Preston, and it's the original telephone that would have been connected to the Irish government's nuclear bunker, and it's a direct line to the Ireland bunker. So I have that, and a friend of mine he was given a lot of stuff out of Preston, and all the telephones were in the box, and he just presented me one day with this telephone. So it's absolutely amazing to have that link, and that just shows a direct link between UK, United Kingdom Warning Monitor Organisation in the UK with Irish Civil Defence, which is pretty incredible because they completely denied that link, and it's been all over the news recently with the RAF, have been patrolling around the Irish Sea and the Atlantic, and they've basically been saying, listen, nobody knew about this. This was all top secret, but it's been going on for years. So again, this is downstairs. This is in the Manning room, this is called. So this is where you can see again, all the little badges and things would be in here. So you would go in here, you'd be given your role, you'd be told what you were doing then for that exercise, or if there was an actual war scenario, this is where you'd be telling what your job would be. So this is in the main ops well. So that's the balcony. So we're below ground now in the bunker. So that's the ops balcony up above. And this is the A and B boards here. And then we have main table in the middle, control table in the middle. And then we have the dose rate 7 DR7 display over here for doing the dose rate. Obviously, as the dose rates are coming in from the posts, from the fixed survey meters, you can plot then what the dose rate is going to be. Over basically a 7-hour period. Then you can work on longer projected period about what high the radiation levels are going to be. This is upstairs, so we're now above. That was the ops well down in there. Now we're up in the main balcony. So just over the photographer's right shoulder, so over this shoulder here, is the BPI is on the wall, the bomb power indicator. And then we have a triangulation table. So we have the triangulation in here. We have the post display plotter positioned here with the sort of the tote boards, the turn. And then we have the main tote here. So to get people's attention below, when you get your information from the PDP and triangulation, it's all charted onto this. So you can see this little rack here. If I can zoom in on those. You can see this rack here. So they all slot in to here. So you write your information up. You then bang them on the desk or on the table. Everyone looks up, and then you slot them in, and then that gives the information that has to go onto the big display boards downstairs. And then that's looking over the ops well down in. So I think that's display T down there. That's your long range board and European board, let you know what's going on in Europe. That's it again. And over here we have the A&B screens. I think there's a good close-up photograph of those in a minute. Yeah, so there's A and B. So we have got, in this area here, you can see there's Northern Ireland, just on the map there. And that's into your sector. So this is your sector map. So your sector is, if you're in Western sector, Scottish sector, metropolitan sector, if you're around about London. And then this map over here is your group. So it's just you. So if you were in 31 group, this map would just show you the 31 group area boundary, and it would have all your posts on it. And then this map over here would show you your sector boundary, and then you can go over here. So everything going on this, all your bomb plots, so as you're getting bomb plots in from the posts, it's all being plotted in these display boards. And then again, you're mapping the fallout. So you're looking at size of the bomb, where it went off, the height it went off above sea level. Is it going to produce fallout, and with wind pattern, where's that fallout going to go to, and how long is it going to take to get there? So there is the PDP, the post display plotters. So all along there, I think 45 is on that one, or is it this one? 41. Yeah, there's 40. That's 45 there. So that would have been my post would have been on this board here, and each person had a cluster, or in some cases they had 2 clusters, and they would sit there and they would take the information in, and all that information then is what's going to the triangulation table, and then what's eventually going down into the ops well, and all that information is being fed back. Yes, I would say you do get very, very good at writing backwards. We do have a reproduction set at the Aviation Society, and I had to draw the entire map. And it's quite a skill learning to draw backwards. So that's down below ground again. So another view of the screens, and that's the last photograph of that. So let me go back. Let me see, where's these other photographs? Yes, this is the post actually in use. So a couple of gentlemen I know quite well there. I know Paddy extremely well. Paddy was a chief observer, and he was basically the first person I ever contacted when I thought about restoring my post. Paddy was the first person I sort of got into contact with, and Paddy has kept me. He's probably more enthusiastic than I am about everything, and if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have given up, but I definitely wouldn't be as enthusiastic about it. And Paddy's brilliant. He's, COVID was very, very difficult for him. He's a reasonably aged now, and he wasn't really able to get out of the house at all over COVID, and just getting to the Aviation Society, which was sort of his life for a couple of years, was just sort of going there every Saturday to work on our displays, and unfortunately he hasn't been able to do that for quite a while. So we have made a point of we're going down at some point. There's been some renovations going on, and they've moved our room, so our display room has been moved to a slightly larger room, and we used to have 3 rooms, and we now have 1 room, so all our displays have been consolidated into 1 room. So I have to go down and sort of do some rewiring of that, and I've said that Paddy has to be with me as we sort of rechristen that. So that's them doing, so you can see here the kilopascals. So I can see it reasonably well in mine. I don't know how well you can see it here, but that says kilopascals, and that's the measurement that was on the bomb power indicator. So what she is doing is, a bomb has gone off. I'm trying to see whereabouts it has gone off in the country, right above Lough Neagh. I possibly think it's Ballymena direction, somewhere near Antrim anyway. And the bomb has gone off, and they are working out the damage from the bomb from the kilopascal reading that the bomb power indicator has given them. So that's given them then the scope of the damage. I know this girl here very well, the hair, Tracy. I know her very well. Another really, really enthusiastic person, and it's these people, through the dark times in Northern Ireland we're going through, as well as being this perceived threat of the Cold War, we had this actual threat of terrorism as well, and the fact that they kept going through that entire period with these 2 threats is just testament to them. And they were talking to them is absolutely fantastic about what they went through. They're very, very lucky in Northern Ireland that we didn't have anybody, there was no observer ever killed in Northern Ireland. We're very, very lucky, but there was a couple of close calls. But then there's so this girl at the back, she is doing the backwards writing, and then they are plotting what she's writing at the back. They are working out the bomb. So you could hopefully see the little symbols there. So the red ones, they're ground bursts. So there's your ground burst. So ground burst means it's a nuclear explosion that's touched the ground. So that's going to produce basically the biggest amount of fallout. And I can't see any green ones. The green ones are they look like little mushrooms, and the one, basically the red one is a ground burst, and the green one is an air burst. And if it touches it does produce fallout, but it doesn't produce as much fallout. You don't see any nuclear explosion, but you specifically do not want to see one that touches the ground. So there's that room that we saw earlier on, completely empty, and there it is, all full with the tally printers all running. And we're into the canteen. This is Tracy, and this is her mum, Pat. Pat very sadly passed away a couple of years ago. I met her once at one reunion. Really, really nice woman, and her daughter has always obviously spoken very, very highly of her, but she was a really, really nice woman. And Tracy donated her medal to the museum, so I have Pat's medal in our collection. And she had a long service medal with bar and rosette, so that just shows you how long she had been in the Royal Observer Corps for. That's them in the kitchen. So there's another look at that bomb power indicator kilopascal range. I have a smaller version of this, actually, at the post. That's Brian. Seen him in a couple of photographs. Brian Fitzsimons on the telephone. Again, looking at the teleprinter. So that's those boards I was telling you about. So, sector controller. So down below, everyone's sitting down and just all, hive of activity. Information comes in from the PDPs, goes to triangulation table, and then it goes up on the tote. So that's all the information. I'm not sure, can we? Here we go. Okay. So we've got the BC longitude, latitude here. Belfast A, so it's first bomb. So Belfast A, Belfast B, Belfast C, so on forth. 500 megaton. Good grief. Okay, and it went off at 9:20. Original. So yeah, quite a big bomb. Quite a big bomb. And again, a very young Tracy there. And you can see the map is slightly better exposed in this one, so you can see the sector is a little bit easier to see there. There's Brian and Paddy. There's their Chinograph pencils, the one that Dean was talking about there, about writing backwards. These are Chinograph pencils, so they're wax pencils. So there you can, wipe them off after you've used them. Back into the tally printer room, and then you can see the little headsets. So everybody was supplied with the headsets, and then as well as that, you were supplied with your own earplugs. No, Rowan, you're right. 500 megaton bomb anywhere is there's not going to be much left. Definitely not going to be much left here, especially seeing that Thiepval probably would have been a major target. Definitely would have been a major target. So they've got their own earplugs, and they've also got their own headsets. So everywhere around the bunker, there was somewhere you could plug in. So when you started your shift, you went and you had a little old camera, negative sort of camera film tube, and inside that you had your own earplugs, and they were your earplugs, so you're never getting somebody else's earwax in your ear. And then you had your own headset. That is the map that I was talking about. The one that was up in the plant room. Oh, I'm so annoyed. I do have a copy of it. How do you get down? But there you can see there it says Belfast Royal Observer Corps Civil Defence Headquarters. It says there. But yeah, I have a copy of this at home, but I always wanted the real one. But it's so funny. It was only after I think maybe got this about 2 years later, these slides, and I was like, oh, I forgot to take that sign off the wall. But yeah. So there's the ground zero indicator. So they're about to go and put that probably above ground. I don't know if during training exercises if they really used the ground zero indicator at group headquarters, but there was a plinth, there was a mounting point for it. You had to go outside, climb up a ladder to get to it. So it was a lot longer a process than doing it at a post. Brian in for a cup of tea. There is the PDRM82F. So personal. Now, personal or portable. I know it's one of the two. I say portable dose rate meter. It could be personal dose rate meter, but portable dose rate meter, 1982, and then this is the fixed version, so PDRM82F. They were, there were a lot of versions of this. This is PDRM82, PDRM82F, PDRM82D, PDRM82M. There was yellow versions with a coaxial cable at the bottom you could screw into that sort of local authority councils would have used. There was the green ones then the army would have used. I've reviewed a couple of them on this channel. But yes, Plessey made quite a few of these, and then Siemens eventually bought over, sorry, not Plessey. Siemens bought over Plessey, and they made, there was hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of these made. Tracy always gets some stick about her hair. That is pure 1980s hairstyle there. I hope she's watching as well. There's Paddy doing the DR7. So they have a special tool. You can't actually see it, but you can, as you're getting the readings in, so you're getting all the readings in for the post from the dose rate meters, you can put this graph on, and it has a very slight curve on it, and once you get to the peak and you see the level start to drop off, you can use the DR7 then to show the gradual drop in the radiation level, so you can work out then what the radiation level is going to be, in the days and weeks ahead. So this is how you would call in. So you can see there 45 cluster. Hold on, I'll zoom in. It's actually a very high quality photograph. You could probably even read the text on this. So these are all the clusters. So this is how you can phone. So the teletalks that are in the post, the little blue box. You could call them directly then from here, the group balcony. So there's 10 cluster. You would ring 7110. And then there's my post down there, 45 cluster. And to get my post, you would dial 7145. And that would dial straight in then to my post in Portadown. There's Pat again. There's a close-up of Paddy doing the DR7. That's the tote board again, putting and there's Audrey. There's Audrey in the background. Portadown, or sorry, Thiepval headquarters here was one of the group headquarters that had an Audrey. An Audrey stands for, it's an acronym for Atomic Weapon Detection, Recognition and Estimation of Yield. There's a mouthful. There's the bomb power indicator. So as you can see here, this one actually hadn't been converted to kilopascals, which is quite interesting because these photographs were taken mid to late 80s. Quite interesting that they had never put the kilopascal overlay on, because the kilopascal overlay was supposed to have been done in the 1970s. And I could never understand why they never had the kilopascal overlay put on. So the code word for Audrey, if Audrey had detected a nuclear explosion, it was toxin bang. And if you detected an explosion on your bomb power indicator, it was toxin. So it was toxin 45 post. And you would give the pressure, and then you would give the time. There's again doing the China graph pencil. That's the Isle of Man. There's the Isle of Man there. And that's actually backwards. They're writing backwards. You can see Preston written there backwards. So that's them writing on one of the bomb power. Rowan, you asked about classification. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these photographs were taken for training purposes. So recruitment and things like that. If they wanted to go out to shows and things, they would take photographs of them doing stuff. It would get passed by the powers that be. So they would write to Bentley Priory and say, listen, and over in England, say, listen, we're allowed to use these photographs for publicity. And they'd say, yes, and that's fine. Or if the media wanted to come in and record stuff, they would do that as well, and they would okay it. But yeah, you did have to sign the Official Secrets Act, so a lot of this stuff would have been secret at the time, especially their equipment. Again, I'll go back to that computer. But you can see it's absolutely fantastic. And you can just about see what's written on the screen, just about. And that's them working on the tote. There's a triangulation ruler. I've got a couple of those. And that's for working out, again, the bomb blast and the fallout. So that's Lough Neagh, that's Antrim, that's group headquarters in Belfast, and if we go over that way, Belfast International Airport's just over here somewhere. Hillsborough? No. Hillsborough would be down here. I think that's Hillsborough. 52 posts is Ballynahinch. Yeah, that could be Hillsborough that they're mopping up planning. So unfortunately the Queen has got a bomb dropped in her backyard there in Hillsborough. Or the King. There's Audrey. And there's Paddy. So yes, you can see the Nixie display we have up here. And it's I would love an Audrey. There's not very many of them out there. I'd heard that the one in Thiepval did stay up on the group balcony for quite a while, and eventually they stripped everything out and it went in a skip, which is so sad, because getting an original Audrey, especially for not for my museum but for the Aviation Society, would be incredible to have one. But they actually could be set off by lightning. They were so sensitive. What it actually does, it's very, very interesting how an Audrey works. When a nuclear explosion goes off, there isn't two flashes of light. There isn't one flash of light. There's actually two. So there's the blinding flash of light followed by another one. And to work out the size of the explosion, what the Audrey would do, we'd measure the gap between the two flashes of light, and then that would give you your size of your bomb, which is amazing. But that somebody realised that there's a flash followed by a second flash. We measure the distance between the first flash and the second flash. We can work out how big the bomb is. So yeah, really, really incredible piece of equipment. And here's the post-display plotters. There's the little film cans I was talking about. Just there. Oh, I'm in the way. Hold on. There you go. There's the little film cans where they kept their their earbuds. There's the triangulation ruler. York is a fantastic museum, Rowan. Really is a fantastic museum. It's the biggest issue of York is its run by English heritage, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So this is this harks back to York. I keep bringing York up about this. So they have this rack in York, and what you're supposed to do is, when you have filled in your ground zero indicator information, you put them in this little rack here assigned to the post, and then they're taken out of that and they're triangulated on a triangulation table, and then there's one at the very top and it says dead, and that is for when these have been read and they're no longer needed. So this track has been done. We have the information from this piece of paper. We don't want to confuse it by doing it again on the table. We put it in the dead slot, and unfortunately York were telling people that was where they would put casualty reports. And I remember the first time I ever heard that, and it was just like, that wasn't the Royal Observer Corps' remit. The Royal Observer Corps' customer, that was the whole point. You were working for a customer. Your customer was UKWMO. Your customer was the RAF, was the army, was the government. So you were thinking of yourselves as a company working for a customer, and your customer was who you were giving information to, and that wasn't in their remit to do damage, blast damage, or the amount of casualties or dead. You just didn't do that. So that's a bit of a bugbear for me, having that dead, and then they're just going, oh, that must mean where they put the casualty lists. But no, it had nothing to do with that. There's the boards being turned. So there is my post there. Yeah, so this must be quite early on because CC means post out of action. No, it doesn't. CC does not mean post out of action. I've forgotten what CC means. Because there's too many posts here that are that are well out of action. I think it's Fallout. I think it's something to do with first Fallout. That's them turning the boards around. A runner would collect them from the plotters and put them on the rack for the triangulation tape. Yeah, that's it, Dean. So there's Audrey. So there's Paddy filling in an Audrey report form. And he's writing down sort of the originator, so where the bomb went off. So again, all of this is for training purposes, for demonstration, for showing maybe a slideshow in a training night. So Audrey has not detected anything. Audrey would just sit blank. There was no way of sort of making Audrey say something unless you sort of, I don't know, set off a firework beside her or something like that there. But all Paddy's doing here is just pretend to write something down. So he hasn't actually got physical information on this. So that's him taking the information from the post display plotter, and then he's going to bring that over the triangulation table. And then that's that Manning board that I was talking about earlier. And that's Paddy taking his name badge. Adrian taking his. So there's FF. So that's first Fallout. So they've just received first Fallout, and then they're going to be given that information every 5 minutes. They're going to be checking in with have they got. So that's basically FF means this is the first time they have detected Fallout on their dose rate meter, and every other post in the area then they're going to be start to watch out for it now, and they'll get their first report. Then every 5 minutes they'll be checking in whether it's raising or lowering. In fact, there's the post that this is assigned to. So 99 post was Clock Mills. 99 post was headquarters. Then we had 15 post Clock Mills, 16 post Coleraine, 17 post Ballycastle. Also telephone. So 12 post, which was Derry Londonderry, obviously did not have a working teletalk at that point. So they were actually feeding, or there was a problem that they couldn't get communications back to group headquarters. So they were feeding Ballycastle. And Ballycastle was feeding their information back to group headquarters. Very interesting little sticky note there. And then 11 post Dungiven, and then 10 post Limavady. So Limavady actually was doing the same thing for Dungiven. Their telephone wasn't working properly. There's Brian. And there's them turning the board around of my cluster. There's the Manning down in the Manning office. Mira Bergborg, Johan, you look different than I expected. Yeah, don't show my face very much on camera. I've always been a behind the camera person doing stuff. Not that I've done plenty of interviews and stuff on TV and things like that there, but I don't see the need when I'm doing a video reviewing a Geiger counter or talking about the bunker. When I make a video about a Geiger counter, that's what you're interested in. You're interested in seeing this Geiger counter. You're not interested in seeing my face. So I always make a point of, when I'm doing a subject video, you don't need to see my face. But in a live stream, it'd be a bit weird if I didn't have my face on camera. And there's the little, that's where they plugged in their telephones. So you would plug in your headset, would plug into that. When you got a call, that little red light would light up, and then you could answer the call, and then you could talk to the post that had called you. And as long as they kept their teletalk open, and as long as you didn't hang up, you were talking with them the whole time. And then over here as well, you could call the post by holding your finger on that button, and that would send a little current to the teletalks, and the teletalk, you could answer it, and away you go, you could talk. Again, so many photographs of my. This is just pure luck. I didn't go through these photographs and go, oh look, there's just my post, I'll do it. But that's my post, Armagh, Dungannon and Banbridge in a straight line. And in fact, I can see it there. And then over on this side, we've got Enniskillen, Kesh, and I think it's 5 Mile Town. So yeah, Portadown, Banbridge, Armagh, and Dungannon. If you're saying Scott, the links, did I do something to knowledge, Hart? Scott, if you're talking about one of the people in the photographs, yes. Or is my name Scott? No, my name's Alistair. And so that's them. So the triangulation table where they're doing the triangulation is just here, sort of, yeah, about here. And then Paddy here, he is putting from the post the time that they've had the, you know, that they've done the triangulation, and that's the very last photograph. But yes, that is I have, you wouldn't believe the amount of archive slides I have. I mean, that's just countless slides of going back, right back until the 1950s. And I've got, you know, I've only got 3 photographs of this post here, but I love these ones. That's them, these 2 guys just hanging out in their shorts at Carryduff Post, and that's in a quarry now. They've actually mined that quarry, and this post is gone. But so this is the only sort of existing photographs of this post that this post ever existed. And this picture is actually really interesting. I know to some people it might be interesting, but to me, this is really interesting. So this is the period as they changed over from the old style equipment to the new style equipment. So early 80s, they started to modernize. So you can see the grey box. I'll just wiggle my mouse over it. This grey box, that's a WB400. So that's the warning speaker. So that's the original style warning speaker. And that was operated by batteries. That wasn't recharged via the telephone line. So what would happen was they would leave these on. They would leave the post after an exercise, forget to turn them off. They would come back and the battery would be flat. So they were going through thousands and thousands of batteries. So they then realized, BT went, well, listen, we can trickle charge a battery using the telephone line. And that's what they did. Using 36 volts, they just trickle charged the battery. So that's when they brought in the WB1400 came in. So 2 telephones. Why have they got telephones in the post? Well, the way the Teletalk works, so the little blue box, which I will show you. Hold on. So the communications equipment, hopefully it'll show, hold on, Teletalk ROC. There we go. So that is a Teletalk there, and before they brought Teletalks in, I think it really only happened in Northern Ireland because we were sort of the last to get everything. Once they sort of brought it out to the rest of the UK, we then tended to get it. So the way the Teletalk works is it's over 2 lines, private wire line, there's 2 lines. So one's talk, one's listen. And when they realised that we'd sort of, all the new infrastructure was in for the Teletalks, but we actually hadn't got the Teletalks yet, the old style Teletalks wouldn't work. So what they had to do was they had to bring in 2 telephones. And the reason why she's speaking into that mouthpiece, she listens with this one. So that telephone is a talk telephone, and that telephone is a listen telephone. So you can't talk with that one, and you can't listen with that one, which is just ridiculous. So for a couple of months, they had to have these telephones in, and you had to hold one up here that you talked into, and then you had to hold the other one up here to your ear to listen to. And that's how they had to operate, I think for about a year, until all the Teletalks were delivered to the posts. And then they got, that's the old style Teletalk there. So that was the old style Teletalk. And then it got replaced with this one here. That is the version that had no handles. And so that had a tendency when you're closing it closed down in your fingers. So they released one then that had little rubber handles on it. But yeah, you can see there the way she's got the 2. They've got their telephone, but I'm going to guess that it hasn't been wired in yet. or they've still got the original infrastructure. So that's brand. That Teletalk is literally brand new, right out of the box, and they're still using these old style. And you can see, look how simplistic the posts were. They had a map. This is a. I have one of these and I can't remember what it's for. I think it's bomb information, and it has perspex over it. You can write on it and wipe it off. I do have one somewhere. I'll have to dig it out and have a look and see. And that's a map, and you can see they've put little red dots where all the posts are. Carry Duff, that's them there. That's Carry Duff just in there. But the posts are just so simplistic. Really, really, really simplistic. And they just didn't have very much in them at all. You know, if anything, my post probably has too much in it. But yeah, it's pretty. It's all. I love archive photographs. I love archive photographs because it just gives you so much history. Just showing the photographs of these empty buildings that, you know, were once a hive of activity. You know, they did actually use them for something, and I love it. Yeah, so many photographs. So we do. But yeah, does anybody have any sort of questions, especially about the bunker or anything like that there? I obviously, it's been 13 years, as it said last week, that I sort of first started restoring the museum, and it's been okay. I wouldn't say it's always been plain sailing. I think the amount of equipment I've had to buy, Amazon, eBay, auctions from other collectors, things like that. I've spent a pretty penny getting stuff, but it was all definitely worth it. I think if I hadn't got it all when I did, I would be out a heck of a lot more money, because the price of stuff now is just absolutely horrendous. But yeah, I forgot one place when I was talking about break-ins. I'll put this map up again over here, and something that I wanted to show. Battle of Britain Bunker, Uxbridge. So I'll show you this. So get rid of that. So you'll see here. Oh, there's the Battle of Britain Bunker there. That's their new building that they've built. And that's the entrance to the bunker just there. But this building beside it, I don't think this is 3D. Oh, it is 3D. Excellent. That is called a Uniter bunker. And Uniter bunkers were built towards the, middle to end of the Cold War for communications. So it's a hardened communications centre. Now, I've never been inside one. I don't know what they're doing with this structure. It would be very, very difficult to demolish this. Very, very difficult. It also wouldn't make a very good museum, because it's just a big empty box inside, with sort of full of Faraday cages and air conditioning and generators and stuff. So it'd be very difficult to make a museum out of it that people would find interesting once the sort of novelty would wear off. I don't know how many visitors would get, but they forgot to lock it. It was actually full of stuff, excess exhibits from the Battle of Britain bunker. So we are talking loads of really old World War II RAF stuff. Ken, do you have an original post generator? Yes, and it does work, sort of work. It's outputting a very, very high. It's putting out more than 240 volt. Oh no, sorry, it doesn't even put out 240 volt. It's to charge the post batteries. The last time I checked it, it was putting out like 24 volt. And now under load, it might put out less, but I didn't want to blow up a battery with it. But I do have one. In fact, I bought it off a guy near Doncaster. He was bringing it to sort of outdoor traction engine shows and sort of demonstrating it with, and it would be. It was pretty cool to get it, because I think I paid £18 for it, and just you don't come across them very often. And the ROC actually used 3 type of generator, or no, 4. They used a Yamaha. They were going to use a Honda, and there was a third one which they trialed. I cannot remember the name of it, but the Honda one they looked at to trial because it had a 240 volt plug as well, and the Yamaha, the EF1000 they were going to use. And I have a Yamaha EF1000 as well that was going to be used for the posts, but eventually then though they just stand down happened, and I think only about 50 of the Yamahas were ever handed out. But I have a Yamaha generator, and I have the which one is it that I have? The post generator that was two. Swan, I think, is the one I have. I think I have the Swan one, but they look pretty much the same. You said maybe you're over equipped. What would be absolutely essential? Was the most prized? Oh, let me see. Let me put up. Let me see photographs of my post. Then I'll go back down here. Let's open Google again, and let's go back to Dropbox. And I'll show you the equipment. I mean, if you were storing a post today, very, very, very difficult to get everything, because you're there's just so little stuff left. Back when I sort of started, you were able to get not so much get everything, but if you wanted it, it was there to get. These were taken in 2016 before I got the shed. So in terms of getting everything, now below ground, okay, so we'll start with everything. So later on, how much fuel was stored? Fuel, I think it was only a couple of litres of fuel. You dug a hole outside above ground, and you buried the fuel underground. So you're only allowed to keep a very, very small amount. And remember, the generator is only there to charge the batteries for the post. So you're not running the generator all the time. You're running it until the batteries are sufficiently charged that you can keep the post lighting going. And you only had a 6-watt bulb and a 8-watt fluorescent tube. So that's all the lighting you had. And you didn't have Boast. You didn't have Boast on. You only have both. You didn't have both on. One was sort of the night light for doing writing, things like that there. So the fluorescent would give you a little bit. Do you have instructions for using the radio? When I went to Transport Crew, yes, I have instructions. The Norwich or the copy I have a Belfast set, and I have a Norwich set of instructions from Norwich Group headquarters for the post radio. And the post radio in itself, the story behind how I got my hands on those is ridiculous. A guy had been, he was a janitor at Newcastle University, and he was really into radios. That was his main thing, and I knew a bit about the ROC, but he had noticed that outside one of the dorms they had the Sarrel boxes, which I'll hopefully there's a picture of one here, but that's where the radio was inside. It's a weatherproof box, Sarrel box, and they were being used as post boxes. And he was like, there's like 50 of those, I'll have them. And he bought them off the university. So he bought all these original weatherproof boxes off the university, and they were all ex-ROC radio boxes. And then he started tracking down all the radios, all the original Royal Observer Corps radios. So I think in the end, I bought 3 off him. Sold one, gave one to the Aviation Society, and then I have one myself. But they all work. They're all 100% working, and it was just incredible just to get all this original stuff. And that was totally by accident that I got in contact with this guy. But there's all the warning equipment. So I was very lucky. The warning equipment was still in the post when I took it on. It was all still there, so I didn't have to track that down. Since that time, I have quite a few of them now, because they are getting harder and harder to get. So I have a couple of spares of those just in case. There's the asbestos fire blanket box. Asbestos has been scratched out because there is no asbestos fire blanket in that anymore. We have the tool for taking off the cover of the radio, so the top hat cover outside, that's the tool for taking it off. That is the little wrench for the spark plug for the post generator. That is called a cock wrench, and that is for taking the cover over where the bomb power indicator baffle plates on the surface. That's for taking off the little protective weather cover. Little right angle torch. Any of you who know World War II will recognize that. That is a crowbar out of a Spitfire. That's an original crowbar out of a Spitfire. We have spare gaskets for the FSM weather plate on the surface. Then we have the radio and sort of generator battery charge unit. So if you're using the radio and you wanted to keep the radio going, but you wanted to you had two batteries, you wanted to charge the second, you could flip that over. You could keep the radio working while you charge the other battery, so you didn't have to turn everything off in the post. So when I first came into the post, it was completely empty, bar from the desks, two desks. Terminating unit was on the wall. Or so the PW circuit box was on the wall, case 200, and the warning speaker was on the wall. Everything else was empty. There was nothing in here at all. So I had to completely redo all of that and find everything. So the post was completely deserted inside. And it took probably six years to get it to the way you're looking at it here, and then to get further bits and pieces to go into it. So we've got the barometer up on the wall. So the Royal Observer Corps post would have done what was called ROCMET, which was ROC meteorological. So they would have given pressure readings and sort of looked at clouds and weather patterns. So basically fill in from the Met Office. Obviously you don't, if it's going to rain, if it's very windy and cloudy, that is going to bring the radiation, and then if it rains, obviously the radiation is going to come down in that rain. You can see the bomb power indicator, Teletalk, and then there is the FSM rod. So if you ever watch videos of abandoned posts where they talk about the fixed survey meter, that's the fixed survey meter, that's the rod, and then the pipe on the surface, that's the rod that goes up, telescopic pipe that goes up it. So that's the Sarrel box there, radio box. So that was being used as a post box in Newcastle University, and we got that, and then the radio then came along at the same time. A little bit of chain, wired it all up, and that will work. I do have the original antenna. I've got the mast. The frequency is you're not allowed to use a frequency. I'm a licensed radio operator, but we can't use that frequency. It's an emergency frequency. They don't use it, but it's a standby band because they're using Tetra now, digital. But if there's a fallback, they could use that. So you can see underneath, full of water cans. So there's all the jerry cans. And we have the case then for the fixed survey meter. There's the air vent. So there's your air filtration system, or lack of it. So some posts, as I talked about last week, did trial an air filtration system, but we never had that at Portadown. Very, very few posts ever got that. And then we have an original first aid kit. So all this is worked. So this is before I did a lot of the work with the 4G underground. So those three holes brings down the pneumatic air line, so you could pump up the mast from below ground, and then one's the radio. Does the FSM have a check source like the PWR-M82? It does have an internal check source, yes, just so the unit works. That's it. It's just an internal check source, just so the unit knows that it is capable of detecting radiation. And if it can't detect it, it just gives fail, and that's it, done. It is possible to get it working again. A guy over in England has worked out how to do it, but it's a pretty laborious process to redo it. There's the bomb power indicator again. This came from, where did I buy that from? I bought that from England. It was a museum in England that were clearing out. They were going to just do World War II. They didn't want anything to do with the Cold War. And they started selling stuff off on eBay. And they were selling other items. They weren't selling this. And I sent them a message and I said, listen, are you selling anything else other than that? And they sent me this photograph of this room just full of Cold War stuff. And I said, I'll have that. So I managed to get that off them for a pretty decent price. And unfortunately, bomb power indicators, they are not a decent price now. Yeah, Rowan, it's a really strange isotope in them. That's why it's very, very difficult to get them. Once they say fail, I am dreading the day that my the 82Fs ever say fail, because I use them every open day. I connect them up. I've got a trading unit that fakes all the radiation readings, and you know it looks pretty cool for visitors. But if that ever says fail, I'm a bit stumped. So that's why I have a few of them, in the hope that they'll keep me going for another couple of years. the first aid kit again. And that's all full. Go back to that first aid kit actually. That's all full of original stuff. All original 1980s bandages, 1980s sort of glass syringes, stuff I got there. So I made sure that everything was as sort of period as possible. There's a map with our cluster on it. That's where the RockMet things there at the back, and there's a cloud poster. And that's a metal arm splint. So that's a splint. So if anybody breaks their arm or sprains their wrist or something out there, you put that on your wrist, and then you put that round. And then what have we got? So bumper indicator again. And these chairs, even these chairs are hard to get now. The old sort of style wooden director's chairs, they go for crazy money when they come up for sale. I don't understand. It's just so hard to get the stuff now. I mean, it was reasonably hard to get when I first started back in 2009. But flip me, it is so rare now. And there's the main desk there. So that image, the image that you're seeing behind me, or the image on my main screen, comes from this same file. But you can see there, that's an original map. All these are all original here as well. That little board there is your emergency services board. So you have all the local telephone numbers of all the, if you want to get water, where do you get it? If you want to use a telephone, where do you go and do it? If you want petrol, oil, where do you go and get it? What's the local ambulance number? What's the local police number? So, yeah. This I rescued along with a friend of mine from the post in Armagh. It was being demolished, and we were given it was my brother and I at the time. We were given a day just to take whatever we could before they were demolishing it. So this actually holds. I put one in the desk here, and then I put one in here. So this holds a PDRM. This was made by one of the observers for this purpose, and you can put the PDRM in that, and for training purposes, just to make it a little bit easier to look at rather than just sort of staring down in the desk all day. There we go. That's the last photo. But yeah, good fun. I have enjoyed every minute of restoring it. It's been, getting everything. But it said about, I sort of got waylaid talking about, good evening, MG Rover. It's the rare things. I mean, the bomb power indicator, the GZI, I think if you're restoring a post, the main things you need, I think, is a teletalk, just to get you that you can open and you can show people. It's the warning equipment, the speaker, teletalk, a GZI and a BPI. And to buy all of those together, you're talking about £4,000. So it's a considerable outlay unless you get lucky, and somebody has one. That's the thing. If you don't get lucky, you're going to end up paying a considerable amount of money for it. And back in 2008 is when I sort of started to do it. Back then, it was even expensive back then. The best time to get into it would have been sort of the mid to late 90s, when they were sort of getting rid of everything for really cheap. The guys that got in then, they have 3 or 4 ground zero indicators and a couple of BPIs, and they have everything. Sort of the old guard, and those are the museums that are still open. GZI BPI cost. I'm not surprised. It's the cost of them is insane now, absolutely insane. I would almost hate to be restoring a post now, because I remember what it was like, the urge just to, when you start, I've restored classic cars as well, and the sort of the urge to get this part to do the thing, and you can't get the part, and you're scrabbling around everywhere to try to get the part. When you finally get it, it's just massive relief that you finally got it, and then you're like, oh, I've got this now, what am I going to do now? On to the next thing. So it's always on to the next thing, and in the last month, I have everything now. So the video that I'm going to be doing next is going to be a big epic video about my new solar install. After that is going to be the video about the last item, and it's weird because it is literally the last item that the Royal Observer Corps in Northern Ireland would have used, and it's something really, really simple, but it's one of the nicest items to look at. And I'm not going to say what it is. Some of you who follow my social media probably already know, but if you don't, I'm not going to spoil the surprise. But just to get it, and especially the history behind it, which I'll go into as well, this item, finally getting my hands on one at a price that didn't break the bank was superb. But there are some people out there that will probably never be able to get everything, simply because there aren't any out there left. There just aren't any. My friend, the last item he's trying to get at the moment is a Countryman radio. So there was 2 generations of radio. There was the Burndep Dymar, which is the one I have. So B525 radio. So that radio, they've become quite hard to get now as well. Getting that's brilliant, because that's the only radio they use in Northern Ireland, and we didn't get them until really late on in the Cold War. You know, almost nearly at the end, towards stand down in '91, we didn't get them. Over in England, and England, Scotland, Wales had, I think, what might have been England and Scotland. I don't think England and Wales. I don't think Scotland had them, but it's a Countryman radio, big, tall radio that bolted to the wall, and it was upside down. All the connections were underneath, and they are just impossible to get. I think in my entire time collecting, I've only ever seen 3, and I've only ever seen 1 for sale. And that just shows you how rare they are. I've seen countless others of everything else, but I've only ever seen 1 Countryman radio for sale. One guy found his still in the post. He got into a post, and just impossible to get. Dean, wartime use only. No, it's not. I have the plastic version of the wartime toilet with the actual proper Bakelite seat. So I have a good one of those, and then my other toilet is the blue one with the really thin plastic seat. So I do have the 2 sort of Elson, Eltax Elson, and then I can't remember what the name of the newer style one is. I think it's an Elson Oxford or something, I think it's called, is the newer one. So I've got 2. I keep one at home because it would rust in the post. It's the really green one with Elson on it, and I just know it rust away to bits. It was in the post, so I keep it at home. But I've got the blue one in the post with the plastic seat, and the original wartime issue toilet roll. I've got it as well. The government issue toilet paper, which is like sandpaper. So I do. But yeah, that Countryman radio, I don't even think. Let me see if I can find a photograph of it. I don't even know if anybody has a photograph of one online. Oh, they do. Somebody does have a photograph of it. Oh, fabulous. Here we go. That's it there. That's the radio there. So it bolted onto the wall, and then all the connections were underneath. So your aerial connection was underneath, and your microphone, then your headset was all underneath as well. They were the very, very early period radios. Northern Ireland, we never got those over here, so I don't need to get one because we never used them. So there's no point in me breaking the bank to get it. I do have Glitto, a blue grit Glitto and green Glitto, and I keep it in a plastic bag in the shelf, the little cupboard shelf. One side of the shelf is all original, so it's got rations in it. It's got the little Tommy Cooker stove, gel stoves. It's got first aid in it. It's got a 1988 bar of Yorkie in there, the not for civvies one. And what else has it got? It's got the original sort of plates, melamine plates, cutlery, the more war issue stock toilet paper, washing up liquid, bowls, the big pint mugs, big plastic pint mugs with the broad arrow mark on the bottom, Air Ministry arrow, and two tins of Glitto in there. Man's best friend, Glitto. Horrible stuff. It is not an ROC post if there's not a tin of Glitto in it, 100%. But yeah, that's the original radio there. Very difficult to get. I hope my friend does eventually get one, because then his life will be complete. But I'm very glad I don't have to find one of them, because I don't think I ever would. I really don't think I ever would. But yeah, it's been fun collecting everything. It definitely has been fun. Now that I've got it all, I don't know what to do now. I'm sort of a bit lost. I think that's why I've started doing the live streaming, because it gives me something else to do rather than just trawl through eBay day and night. I did buy something tonight just before the stream went live. Let me see, are we still connected? We are still connected. I'll show you what I got. So I'm gonna do this live on the live stream. Does eBay go sideways? eBay does not go sideways, but unfortunately. So I'll drag this over. Hopefully you're able to see this okay. Now, okay, I paid £31 for it, which probably a little bit more than I want. You have a genuine UK WMO ration pack. Yes, Dean, I have. I've one opened UK WMO ration pack, and it's completely sealed and unopened. I found that in a post near Doncaster Airport. Post was completely burnt out, and there was about 4 items in it which weren't destroyed. And one was a UK WMO ration pack, a couple of those pint mugs, and the little pot, the little cooking pot with, again, a broad arrow marked. That was only, I think it was 4 items, and I brought it to the farmer down the road, and I said, is that your bunker on your land? He says, yeah. I said, listen, can I buy these off you? And he said, no, listen, you've had the common decency to actually come to me. You can have them. So he gave them to me, and then I was in Wales, and I found a shelf. I think I've shown it before in a video, but it's a shelf that hangs off the ladder, and it has a ceramic tile in it, and you can cook on it. So when you've got the hatch open, you can have this, and you can hangs off the ladder, and then you can cook on it, and then any steam goes out up the vents, up the air shaft, entrance shaft. So that's pretty cool to have that as well. I got that when I was on holiday over in England and Wales. But I bought these slides, so probably paid a little bit too much for them, but again, they are original civil defence training slides, nuclear war training slides. So there's a whole load of these slides, and I only bought them tonight, so I'll probably hopefully have them by the time I do the next live stream. And what I'm planning to do is scan them live, so it's the first time I'll have seen them, and then you guys get to see them as well. So it's all about nuclear weapon effects. I think, did it show copy, protect and survive there? On in here somewhere it shows you copy, protect and survive. So it shows there about likely attack areas. I can zoom in there, burns and things like that there. So there's your inner refuge in there. There's RAF fighting deals. There's protect and survive down in there. So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome. And then there's a whole pamphlet that tells you how to do the slideshow. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to scanning them. And I've got a little digital slide scanner, so I'll do that live on the stream, so you can get to see the photographs at the same time, get to see the digitized photographs at the same time I do. Right, okay. Unless anybody's any questions, I am gonna hit the road, mostly because I'll just start blathering on about something in particular, and I've sort of shown everything I had intended to show, and I don't want to sort of get in the way of other live streams, things I might talk about. As I say, coming up, I'm going to have that video out on the solar, probably Thursday or Friday. I'll have that out. If those slides come, I'll do then the stream next Monday. I'll do it on that. I may not be able to do the stream next Monday. I'm not 100% sure. If I can't, I'll do it on the Tuesday. But I'll attempt to keep doing it on the Monday night. If anybody's any questions about... the Links has a question. Ask away if you have a question. Tell you what you don't see come up very often is the first generation Tally Talk from NG Rofer. Oh, nice. We need to see a picture of that stuff at some point. The first generation Tally Talk. I've only seen 4 Tally Talks come up, original Tally Talks come up for sale. I do have one. I don't display it at the post, but I do have one, and I'll get some photographs of it, and I'll put it up. But yeah, the first generation Tally Talks are very rare. They are very, very rare. What time's the meet? 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock every Monday night is when I do when I've started doing the streams. Only started last week, but 8 o'clock we'll be doing the streams. And they'll either go for an hour and a half, they'll go for an hour, 2 hours, if I've got plenty to talk about, or if people have plenty of questions, or if I've done loads of stuff in the bunker, if I have a new Geiger counter. But yeah, the next thing that's coming up is going to be my open day on the 9th of September. So that's for European Heritage Open Days. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be the only open day I'm going to do this year, just with everything that's gone on with work and sort of life. I haven't been able to do an open day, but the European Heritage Open Day is sort of my always last, is my last open day. And it's always a big one. So that's booking only. So I've already booked up quite a few spots already this morning. The booking went live this morning. So most of my early morning bookings have gone already. So what I'm intending to do for that is doing a live stream of the entire event. So I'm going to set up a camera somewhere in the compound, and we'll do just a stream of the entire event. And then possibly at some point, I might put a camera below ground and then stream below ground as well. I'll have a look at how I'm going to be able to do that, because the signal might be strong enough, but I'll do my best to try it anyway. I do have the 4G down there, so I should be able to do it. But I'm going to plan to live stream the whole event, and I won't be answering questions, but I'll come along every now and again and give you a wave and say hello. So on the 9th of September, Saturday 9th of September, drop in on the YouTube channel and you will see the stream on there. There was a couple of questions came in. Radio and communications 101. I'm new. Do you have any rookie videos? Okay, first one. In terms of communications, you're talking about the Teletalk and things like that there. In terms of rewiring them, the Teletalk runs on 12 volt. So if you wired up to 12 volt, you'll get the little red light flashing on it. And if you really want to, you can hook it up to an MP3 player and it'll play tones. I have mine 100% working. So it's basically a Skype. It's a Skype telephone. It's hooked up to a modem, which in turn is hooked up to a server. And then people with Teletalks, we can all talk to each other. And there's also an app on the phone as well, which... Where is it? There it is there. So this is the app here. So I can call that, and that logs me into our network, and then I can talk to people with their Teletalks through this app. And I can talk to people down in my bunker, so that's it there. So when I'm having an open day, I have this app, so I can call into Below Ground, and I can say, next tour, things like that there. You got 5 minutes until the next turn, things like that there, which is quite cool to be able to do that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to do that. But in terms of wiring stuff up, it's fairly straightforward. But I think your best bet is to drop me an email if you really want. It's just info@nibunker.co.uk. Drop me an email, and if there's something specific you want help with wiring up, just ask and I'll help you as best I can. I've done quite a few videos about wiring up the Teletalk, wiring up a modem below ground, rewiring all the communication system below ground up to above ground. So yeah, any questions, just drop me an email and ask away. What's your experience with the Pripyat meter? Mine decided to die suddenly and just not work out of the blue. Would count for a few seconds. Steps on. Yeah, mine does the same thing. That unit there does exactly the same thing. Some days it'll work and it'll work flawlessly. And then one day you'll turn it on, it'll start counting, and then all of a sudden it'll just go to 0, but it's still counting like crazy in the background. I've opened it up, I've resoldered any bits that needed resoldering. I just think it's caps and things in them. It's a 30-year-old, 35-year-old meter, and unfortunately they're just dying. I think it's awesome. I think it's one of the nicest looking of those era of meters. I bought one very, very similar to it again today. Yeah, that's the thing. I've run out of ROC stuff, so now I'm buying X-Soviet Geiger counters again. But that's from a guy that I bought quite a few meters from. I think I bought that. I think I bought that from him as well. But it's very, very small LCD display. It looks nice, and I know for a fact they use them at Chernobyl because I have a book about Chernobyl, and I see people using them in the book. So that's a nice meter. So there'll be a review on that. A friend said it's likely due to a chip, but I'm Sparks. I really should tell you. There is a little chip. When you open it up, this whole back bit, it splits in two, and there's a circuit board right in the middle, and you have to be really, really careful because all the wiring sort of goes to the front of the back. And there's just one little chip which I did remove, blew on, and put it back in, and I tried to clean out all the contacts, but it just does the same thing. I think the best thing I do of it is put a fully charged battery into it. I've noticed sometimes it goes a wee bit weird when there's a slightly discharged battery. So I've been putting, always when I plug a battery into it, making sure it's a really full brand new 9-volt battery, and it seems to work okay. And leaving it on for half an hour, 45 minutes seems to help as well, but I don't know, it's weird. But listen, folks, I think we'll call it quits at that. Listen, thank you all very, very much for joining in tonight. It's been a pleasure as always to talk to you, and thanks for all the questions and what have you. Always happy to answer questions, and always happy to talk about the Cold War and about Geiger counters and about the Royal Observer Corps. I love talking about it, as you can probably tell. If anybody's feeling generous, you can drop a few pounds into the Super Chat if you feel that way inclined. If you don't worry about it. All goes towards the upkeep of the bunker. I don't take really anything for myself. If the bunker needs paint, I go out and buy paint. If the bunker needs some wire, I go out and buy some wire, and that's just the way it works. I can sort of keep it going. And I don't charge anybody to visit the bunker. If anybody wants to come and see it, you just contact me and you come along and see it. I've never ever charged, and I don't believe that history should cost money. History should be free, and I've always believed that. But listen, folks, as always, thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye bye.